I'll like fully like have a days of practice where like I just do beam series like the whole time and nobody bats an eye. I'll do like aerial lele and they'll be like, oh, nice one. And it's like, it's so fun. I've always wanted to have like a stick it way moment at like a US champs where I'm like, I like walk onto the floor and they're all like, oh, what is he doing? And then it's like the music starts and they're like, wait, what? Like,
Remember, this show is PG-13, so you might hear a naughty word or two.
Today, we're talking to Charlie Larson, and he's going to talk about how to go from world team member in TNT to national champion by switching disciplines to artistic gymnastics. It's July 1st, 2025, and welcome to the #1 gymnastics podcast in the galaxy. I'm Jessica. Spencer is resting this week, well-deserved rest. Our live show is coming up in Chicago. It's just 2 weeks away. Chicago native Helen Hu will be our live show special guest. It's Friday, July 18th at 7:30 p.m. is when doors open. There's games. It's lots of fun. Please join us with a live streaming ticket where you can participate even if you're not there in person, or an in-person ticket at gymcastic.com is where you can get those. We also still need 2 volunteers. Email us at gymcastic@gmail.com. Put Chicago volunteer in the subject line. You get free swag. You get to watch the show for free. You get a special meet and greet and our eternal gratitude, of course. You can fill your emotional chalk bucket by helping us at the live show. So let's get to today's guest, Charlie Larson. You may have seen him doing the easiest laid out triple double you've ever seen in your entire life. That's Charlie Larson. He went from being a national team member and world team member of US tumbling and trampoline, that's what we call TNT, to being a national champion in artistic gymnastics. But it was not a smooth road for him. He reveals here for the first time that Minnesota, before Michigan, was not the first college program he went to. And then you remember Minnesota, the team was canceled. Then it had a Gym Act thing, but then he ended up going to Michigan, being a national champion there his very first year on the team. He also talks about, for the first time, this really painful calf condition that he has and the effects of that. And then we chat about the Powerpuff Girls, which, if you haven't seen Charlie Larson's Powerpuff Girls videos, you're in for a treat. Look them up. We'll link to them and his Instagram in the show notes. And obviously his ideal floor routine, which is the same as my ideal floor routine and beam routine. So we got along very well. So let's talk to Charlie. So you did TNT, and TNT
mhm,
used to have their camps at the Crowley Ranch. And that
mhm.
was that in your time frame?
Yeah. So that was one thing that was very interesting. This was pre um, Larry Nasser, like all of that stuff. So I went to Crowley Ranch like 3 times from when I was like 10 to 13. Um, so that that was very interesting that I got to be part of that at a very young age. And I remember going there and it was like you could like feel you could feel the bad vibes. And I wasn't even working with the Crowleys, but they were there. And I remember like the first time I went there, I did not know what I was getting myself into. This was like my first camp ever. I was like 10 years old. I like just got my cell phone and they're like, okay, like welcome here, as they like close the gate and lock it. And they're like, you're not going to get service. You're not going to get this. You're not going to get that. And like, we're practicing like 4 times a day. Get ready. And I was like, oh my God. So
4
that
times a
was
day?
it was like morning practice, night practice, and then like strength conditioning testing. It was crazy. Even for our tram and tumbling, which is like nothing compared to artistic.
Because
Um,
normally your workouts are what? How long is a TNT workout normally?
TNT workout. I mean, depends on how many events you do. Usually at the time they would be like 2 to 3 hours. So we would break it up into like 2 hours each. We would do like 2 hours morning, 2 hours night, and then like hour strength, hour conditioning, hour testing. Um,
How was
so
the food?
I remember like seeing photos of like the food before we went and I was like, okay, not bad. And then I get there and it's like the microwaved eggs and like the salad with like the Thousand Island dressing as like your dinner. And I was like, what is this? And oh, and like the microwave bacon. But I feel like it's another one of those things that's a very unique experience that I got that a lot of people didn't, especially as a male gymnast, to be a part of like to experience that whole side of gymnastics. And like I very much sympathize with what the women's team had to go through after like my brief time there. Like I was only there like a few times and like I wasn't even part of like that whole culture, I just like got to see it from like a third person point of view almost, and was like, wow, it's crazy that these children are here once a month going through this, and I'm here once a year, and I'm like feeling like this. So
First, just like tell me your whole life story. Where are you
yeah.
from? How did you start gymnastics? All of that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've been everywhere, it feels like. So I honestly don't remember starting gymnastics. I think my parents say it was like right before us too. I have three older sisters. They all were put in gymnastics, but immediately quit. And then I was put in last, and kind of just like went through the levels really quick. But I actually started in trampoline tumbling. So I started at a gym called Midwest Gymnastics. And if you're aware of that, that is Suni Lee's gym. So I was there for like most of my, like, I would say like developmental years of gymnastics, like under those coaches as well. Doing trampoline tumbling though. And then I ended up like switching gyms a few times because programs were cut. Um, like there was no boys program some places. It was never like my choice. I like kind of just like had to keep going through the levels. But then um, I got to elite in tram tumbling pretty quick. I would say I was like 11 when I got to like the youth elite is what it was called there, and did like a few international assignments. I went to Worlds in 2021, and then I started artistic though when I was about 17. I knew I wanted to do gymnastics past college, and tram tumbling, there's no college for it. You would just do it like on the side as club. And I really liked artistic. I feel like a lot of people think that I did it like just to do it in college, but I actually wanted to switch for a long time. It feels like I just like kind of like happened to be in trampoline tumbling and be good at it, so I just stayed in it. But when I was like 17, I was like, okay, if I want to make this happen, I kind of have to do it now, because I was a what was I, sophomore.
Mm-hmm.
So I started doing both. So there was 2 years, or the last 3 years of high school, I did both, which was like very, very exhausting because I was doing like a meet like twice a week. I'd have like my artistic meets on Saturday and my tram tumbling meets on Sunday, and then I would practice like twice a day. So I'd like practice tram tumbling, and then I would go to my artistic practice, and it was like so it was really fun, but it was so exhausting because I would go from like doing like trampoline to like doing vault, and those are like very, very different. But I enjoyed it, and then I knew I wanted to stick through tram tumbling until I graduated, just because I had more to give, and I wanted to go to Worlds, and I went to Worlds my senior year, and I was like, okay, that's like my sign off. I'm gonna go to college now.
Wait,
So many
so
things have
okay, wait.
happened.
Go back for one
Mhm.
second. So you did not do like rings or high bar
Mm-mm.
or P bars or the dreaded pommel horse until you were a sophomore in high school?
Never. Because I did tram tumbling right away. I did rec classes until I was maybe 5. So I think by the end, all I could do was like I didn't even get to the point of a kip on high bar. I was doing like tap swings and stuff. So I never ever did the other events. So it's so like strange to me that like all these people like had all these basics and compulsory routines, like with like press handstands and like dive rolls, and I just skipped right through those and went straight to like level 10. So we'll do like basic tumbling warm-ups, and I'm always like, count me out. Like I never did the press handstands. I never did that. I can't hold a handstand very long. Like that was just not my thing. But like I can do like a mean double A. Like that's that's
Yeah.
the difference for me. So um yeah, so I never did any of those. So people are always asking me like, oh, why don't you pick up another event? And I'm like, I could try high bar, but like it would be a long time before I'm like even like a mediocre specialist still. So I'm like, I might as well just like put all my energy in what I'm good at. Um, so yeah, it's really strange like going from like not being in the sport to like the best team in the country, like, and it feels like foreign still because I've only vaulted for because I broke my leg one of those seasons and was out, so I've only vaulted like 3 total seasons now, and I went from like first season just Yuchenko full, and then the second season was like 2.5, and it was just like so quick, but it like translates well. So it's not like foreign completely, like body wise. It's just like the culture is like different and environment and stuff.
Like, do you remember when what was her name? Fang Fang?
Yes.
When she
No,
was
I
doing
remember that.
artistic? Yeah. And
Mm-hmm.
so China national world champion in tumbling, for
Mm-hmm.
anybody that doesn't know. And when she did a floor routine, I was like, what is this technique? Where have they
Yes.
been? Oh my God, why can't artistic gymnasts tumble like that? I mean, some can,
Yes.
okay. But okay, so
Yeah.
what all right, so going back to tumbling, because
Mm-hmm.
I've never forgotten this. Charlotte Drury long ago
Mm-hmm.
told me, because she started in artistic with Michaela Maroney and with
Yep.
Kyla Ross, and she said in our interview, I want every artistic gymnast to know that life doesn't stop after artistic. You can still do
Yes.
tumbling. There's all these other sports you can do, and it's so fun.
Mm-hmm.
And for you it was the reverse.
Yeah.
You started with tumbling, but
Mm-hmm.
I think there are more TNT gyms now, but they're usually like
Yeah.
one or the other a lot. And
Mm-hmm.
I want to know what you think gives you an advantage having started from TNT.
Mm-hmm.
And tumbling and trampoline is what we're talking about with TNT, because I see it and I have
Mm-hmm.
theories, but I want to know from you.
Yeah. I think that like the biggest advantage that I've seen over the years is in trim tumbling, there's like this huge emphasis on technique and form and like a very strict like per event is a little bit different, but like way of progressing. Because in trim tumbling you can progress different levels in different events, but like there's many compulsory routines and they consist of like very much basic skills and like you have to do it. So I think me going through all that, especially on trampoline, where like this is kind of dependent on the gym you're at, like it's a little bit different per gym, but like it was preached like you do not try the next skill until you've perfected the one before. So like I feel like that carried through now very well. Like if I'm doing a skill, like it's gonna have good form. Like I'm not just like gonna chuck a skill and then like the technique in trim tumbling is very catered toward like maximizing like energy and like power without like actually being like super like strong and like very technical, very much angles and almost like mathematical. So I feel like on floor that helps me because I'm not like this like a massive super strong like huge like person that has all this power to like just like propel myself. But trim tumbling I think gave me the technique to like work with it. Um, so I feel like that's my biggest advantage is that like I can progress through skills really easily because I've had to break them down. Like for example, triple double. A lot of people like are like, oh, how do you spot it? Like, how do you go through it? Like, how did you learn that? And I'm like, well, it was pretty simple in term tumbling. You do like double A and then you do full in lay and then you do a full in, full out. Like you see the ground and then you do a full in, double full out. Like it's very much like bam, 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 like ordered. And I feel like that is what has helped me get to this level like so quickly because I have like the fundamentals.
So did you, like, my theory about, besides the perfection, because I think like TNT is kind of like diving in that like form is everything, and artistic has
Mm-hmm.
gone like basically to shit with form, let's be honest.
Yes.
It's there's some, don't get me wrong, like Andrade and
Mm-hmm.
Simone are amazing and Suni is
Mm-hmm.
incredible, but there's a lot of really ugly technique and form.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so my other theory about why TNT you have an advantage is because a lot of TNT gyms, so I want to know if you use the that big rig that's like the bungee rig that you can tumble
Mm,
in, and also you guys
yes.
employ the ping, which I don't know if people call it thing that everywhere or if that's country dependent, but it's like when
Mm-hmm.
you fall, I'm just describing it to our listeners. It's like when you see a superhero in a movie get hit with like a thunderbolt and then they fly backwards like they got punched in the stomach.
Oh, yes.
That it's like a
Yes.
hollow position, but
Yeah, yeah.
you just fly
Mhm,
back into mats. But it is like the way that you kind of get
mhm.
out of when you have the power.
Yeah.
It's a
Mhm.
safety technique.
Yeah, there's actually, so in tumbling specific, you tumble out of things, so, like, you do double layout, and then you do immediately a whip back. So, they teach you to do, that out of everything, like, literally everything, because they just anticipate you'll someday go backwards out of it, but like naturally it teaches you to land with your chest up, and like, and it's safer. Like it teaches you to roll out of everything instead of like sticking, because trampoline tumbling, like, you want to stick the landings, but it's not as big of a deal as it is in artistic. They care a lot more about like chest up on the landing and minimizing steps, because one step in tram tumbling, no matter how big it is like worth the same unless it changed in the past 2 years. Same with like a hop. So um, they're always teaching you roll out of things, as if you're gonna whip out of it, and I still do that because it saves my ankles like so much. And then like when I need to land, I just like turn it on. But I think me like doing that, I naturally will land everything with my chest up because I just like don't know how to not like, and it just hurts my back to stick. So that my biggest problem when transitioning to artistic was I would fly out of like literally everything. I would do like double A and like fly off the floor because like I was just used to bouncing out of everything. So that was hard for me to learn to absorb the landing. But once I did, um, I feel like my I would get like no deductions on landing because I was just already landing with my chest up. I just had to learn how to like absorb with my legs. Um, so yeah, everyone is taught to do that. Like when growing up, I thought it was just like a cultural thing. I was like, okay, all the cool kids are like rolling out of their double A's. Like I guess I'll just do it. And then like I'd go to camps and like they'd be like, okay, yeah, like scoop out of it. They're always saying scoop. They're like scoop, scoop, scoop. And I'm seeing like some artistic gyms doing that now. I feel like as like a safety thing too, and to teach chest up, because like at home when I go to my home gym, I train with an artistic women's team. I don't have a club men's team. And they're all like starting to do that now, and it like makes me so happy. So
Yeah.
yeah.
How do you warm up now in artistic on that floor? Like, I see
Mm-hmm.
different people do different things, and I rarely see,
Mm-hmm.
there's only a couple coaches I can think of who have tumblers with your power, or they want the technique you use. So they,
Mm-hmm.
stand and expect someone to fly back into them on their first pass.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. For me, the coaches kind of get on me about this, but I like in my brain, I can like now, this took a long time, now can just switch between like doing a skill, like warming it up, and the competing landing brain. Like I don't necessarily need to like stick my double A in the warm up to stick it in the meet. I just like flip the switch. I'm like, okay, this one I'm gonna stick, this one I'm gonna not. So in my warm up, I'll do like, I usually start with just like round offs. I very basic. I'll do like round off, round up back handspring. Sometimes I do this weird thing everyone notices in my round off back handspring into a layout. I clap in between the round off and the handspring. It's like this weird, like, I don't even know where I learned it, but it like helps me with my timing. And I'll put no effort into those because the amount of times I've like hurt my ankle doing like round up back handspring layout, I'm like, no, I'm just gonna like mentally warm up, and then I'll go like double A full throttle, rebound out of it. I'll rebound out of almost everything in the warm up, and then right before I go, I usually do like, I'll like jump on the floor and do like a standing back tuck and stick it and be like, okay, we're good. Like I just need to stick one landing, and then when I go, I like flip the switch. I'm like, okay, now you actually have to land this, because like sticking things like hurts my ankle so bad. So like I just have to like turn the switch on, not necessarily like do it in the warm up. I just have to do like one thing that like mentally preps me. Um, so yeah, where like a lot of people on my team, like they need to do like 10 standing back tucks to stick, or like stick all their passes. Like they feel like off going into the meet if they didn't stick it. Where me, like the skills I'm doing right now are relatively easy, so I can just kind of decide to land it good or not. So
The triple double is relatively easy.
well, besides that,
Okay.
that's
Okay.
like one skill that like, ooh, that skill is still so hard. Like if I'm gonna do it, like I'm still training it now, but I have to like mentally prep myself for that skill like weeks in advance. I'd be like, okay, on Tuesday the 17th, I'm gonna do it, and it's like Monday the 1st. And then I like prep for weeks. But it's getting easier. Now I can kind of like come in and like do a turn and be like, okay, can I do it today? That's like a skill. Like I can do a round off and tell if I'm going to be able to do it today. Like it's so weird. My way of telling if today is going to be a good day or not is I always start off every practice. I do I go on the line and I do an aerial, and if it's square on the line, like on the beam, I'm like, oh, okay, we're good. Like we're good. Like today's been good. But if it's not, I'm like, okay, I'll try one more time. Okay, so I like mess around on beam a lot, and like that's my superstition. Like I'll always warm up with like beam series. I'll warm up with like aerial, hinge step out, layout step out, and like if that feels off, I'm like, I get worried because usually it actually does. It is like a real indicator if like I'm feeling energized or not. Because like if I'm able to stay square and like actually like focus my eyes and like am like relatively bouncy, because you have to be springy to do those things. Like I can kind of tell like, okay, I feel springy, I feel square, I feel focused. So I guess it's not like necessarily superstitious. It's more just like my test to see like how I feel. But I don't have any like crazy superstitions. I know some people have like superstitions like if I don't wash my hands 3 times, like I'm not gonna be able to do this. Like mine's not like that. Like I guess my craziest is like I have like lucky pairs of shorts that I'm like, okay, this is like my good one. Like it's gonna be a good day. Like I will like plan out in the week. I'll be like, okay, on Thursday I want to have a good day, so I'm gonna wear like my blue shorts on that day. But then like if it's a bad day, I'm like, oh shoot, like I can never wear those blue shorts again. Like it, I guess that's like the most superstitious things I have. But I try not to like think too deeply into those because then like it can spiral. But yeah.
You don't want to spiral. It's important. Speaking of shorts, are they supplying you with the correct uniforms that actually fit? Because Stacey Irvin famously told a story on this show that I have never forgotten. Do you know this story?
I don't know.
So Stacey Irvin said they gave him a singlet, a Leo that did not it was too small, and
Mm,
so he was a tumbler, and
yeah.
so at during his floor routine in a competition, his balls fell out of the side of his singlet, and he had to
I did
finish
not know this.
his
I did
routine.
not know this.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yep. So I'm glad they're outfitting you all correctly now, so we'll not have an
Yeah.
incident. Poor
Yeah.
Stacey Irvin.
No, they actually did give me the wrong size shorts in the beginning of the season. I was given like a small, and like I'm definitely not a small. So like the whole season, like I had to right before going, like literally, I don't you can tell in some of the live streams, I would have to like quickly change my shorts. After my teammate would go, I'd be like, okay, give me your shorts. Like so I guess like kind of my Leo is the right size. My shorts are always the wrong size. Um so I was like constantly changing those, but no, I have no horror stories like that
Thank God.
with
Thank
Leo with Leo malfunctions. Yeah, no. Yeah. I just like some
goodness.
white Leo. We have some white Leos that we have, and I'm always like, why did we decide to do an all white Leo? Like it's never a good idea. Never a good idea. But
No, I can't. The white Leos, like, I'm glad you feel the same as like most women feel about white Leos. Like, I know they're
yeah.
like double lined now and they have like extra
Mm,
stuff inside and everything, but I'm just like, you never know.
it's like you never know, and I honestly don't think it's very flattering. Like the white Leos, like I'd rather just like darker colors. I feel safer. So I like
Yes.
sweat, and I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah,
But yeah.
I am with you on that. Um, okay, tell me about going from so how about were you recruited to Minnesota, or were you like, hey, I'm a really good tumbler, by the way, you should put me on vault and like maybe
Mhm.
I can learn some other event too.
I actually was at Oklahoma very briefly, University of
Real
Oklahoma. Yeah.
really?
Yes. So basically, I reached out to coaches senior year of high school, and went on a few unofficials because it was like August going into my senior year, and I like just like COVID happened. I was coming back from like injuries. Um, so I had like not a large reputation artistic. So I just had a few unofficials. Wasn't expecting much, and then I went on an unofficial to Oklahoma, and I really liked it. And so I committed, but not to the D1 team. I committed to essentially I was going to train with them in the summer and was going to walk on in the fall. And if not walk on, I would continue to train with them, and then they have like a club team that I could train on for a year. So that was the plan. And then right before I was supposed to go in like June, I tore my MCL. So that kind of like threw off a lot. So I tore my MCL and broke my tibia, got surgery, started to get back.
How did
I was
that
gonna go.
happen?
It was on vault at Mesa Nationals. It was horrible. That was another horror story. I was there to literally to do just one vault. I was a vault specialist at this nationals. I was doing Uchenko double full. It was my last warm up. I land sideways, tear my MCL. I was also there with just my sister, and she was like 21 at the time. So we were like Ubering to the ER. I got emergency surgery. I was there for a week. It was like that was a whole mess. So that threw off like my whole like recruiting period because I was gonna go in the summer train and I was getting really good. I was like doing double A on the floor. Like it was looking good. And then this happened. So I delayed it and I was gonna go in August. And then right before I went, I had to get another surgery. I delayed my going again to January. So that's when I was like, okay, I'm gonna go in January. I
Okay,
basically
wait.
took a gap semester.
Did they try to repair your MCL, or did they give you a cadaver MCL? Or
They emergency repaired my tibia and told me that my MCL could heal on its own because it's like the one ligament that apparently can like grow back together, and
and
it
then
didn't.
okay, got it.
So yeah, it didn't. In in retrospect, like it was a clean tear. Like they kind of knew it wasn't gonna heal. I think they just knew I could get like a better surgery on it later than if an emergency.
Yeah.
So which ended up being great because I got paired with like this insane surgeon and like it was like it kind of changed my life like getting it later for the better because I like started working with like all these strength coaches. Like it changed a lot, so it was good that I didn't get it right away, but then I had to delay going to Oklahoma. So I went to Oklahoma in January, um and I won't get into like the big details, but very quickly on I realized like this unfortunately like going on just the unofficial, like not being official visit and all this stuff, like I didn't know what I was actually getting myself into. And kind of with the state of my injury, I was told like maybe I'd be able to walk on come next year, but like maybe not. And the club team wasn't like kind of what I thought. And
Was part
I
of that
realized,
was
mhm,
part of that like I've heard that Oklahoma does 2 days all year long.
mhm. Um, slightly, it was just kind of. I've been in so many different gyms and training environments, national team and stuff like that, that I can tell right away, like if an environment is going to make me better or if it's not. And I could like it was intuitive in a sense, but also like I was kind of piecing puzzle pieces together. Like I was not going to get better there. The way they train, a little bit old school, very like strict. Not this was just my personal experience. A lot of people have different experiences. So I kind of was like, okay, either I can take the risk, stay here, try to walk on, but I wasn't really enjoying it, or I can like trust my gut and go back home. And I had to make that decision very quick because I was like, okay, I'm gonna stay the whole semester. I just had this gut feeling that like this wasn't gonna work out, and then I'm glad I did because in retrospect, I went home and um, met with Mike Burns because my coach at the time was like, hey, you should talk to Mike Burns. Like they have a gym act thing going on. And I was like, okay, I'll talk to him. And he was like, yeah, sure. Join the gym act team, come to U of M. And I was like, this is great. And that was like the best decision I could have ever made because when I decided to do that, I was still recovering from an injury. I like was still only doing like tumble track. I was like barely there. And since I wasn't D1, like on the D1 team and was like told I wasn't going to walk on that season, I didn't have any of like the D1 like medical resources. I was kind of like stranded in terms of recovery. I
Yeah.
had to go off campus. So that was honestly like the bigger thing for me was like I recovering and trying to get back to the elite level without like a really good team is hard. Where at Minnesota, like back home prior to going, I kind of built that already. Um, like and fortunately I had that. So I went home and then started training with the Minnesota team, and it was just like such an amazing environment for me, and there was no pressure to like get back at a certain time. So I think that's when I got really good. That's when I started like pushing the triple double. Like I could not do triple double before I broke my leg. Like I could barely do a double lay on the floor. And then
Okay, wait, but how did you do a triple double in the closet that they train in Minnesota?
you know, it was hard. It was hard. So I
Like,
I kind of
can you
was like,
describe the Minnesota, like Oklahoma's gym is like
yeah.
kind of like it's a very, very, very good gym. It's not the Michigan
Hmm.
women's,
Hmm.
gym or Georgia's women's
Yeah.
gym or LSU, but it's like very good. But can you describe where the men train?
Yeah. So Minnesota is like it's in like the public university workout area. It's called like the recreational center or whatever. It's on like the fifth floor in this little closet, no air conditioning, no windows. It's like the size of, I literally have no idea, like maybe 600 square feet. I have no idea. It's so small. It's so small. And all we had was a rod floor and a floor strip, and it was just half of one. It wasn't a full floor strip, full rod floor. We had like one of each event. We had a vault runway, but it was only like 50 feet of runway. It was like this whole thing. So training was hard, but I luckily I have my home club gym. So when I was at Minnesota, I would do 3 days at Minnesota, like in the little closet. And those for me were my rest days. Like I would go there and do triple double on the rod floor because I'm like, okay, it's a rod floor. It's like much
Wait,
softer, but it was actually so much worse.
wait, you did triple doubles on the rod floor that is right next to the loft with the next
Hmm.
level of training equipment. It doesn't stand alone.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
also it's only half the size as a normal rod floor. What did you do?
Hmm.
Like standing step round off back handspring triple double? Like I don't understand.
Yeah, it was narrow. That on the right side there was P bars, like literally on the right side, like very like touching the mat. There's P bars, and on the other side it was the loft. So it was like tunnel. If I go sideways, I'm dead. So it was like kind of incentive to like do it good,
Did you run
which was
or
like
how did
horrible.
did you
I
hurdle?
would stand against the wall, and I could fit my steps in, but I was like this close to like missing it. But yeah, I could stand against the wall and like run full throttle. Um, and that's how I trained routines all year. I would do the routine, I'd run back, do the routine, like do the skill, run back, do the skill, run back. But luckily, I had my home club gym, and they were like nice enough to let me train with them. So I would do like 4 days at Minnesota, and then I would do 2 days at my home gym now is Twin City Twisters. So like they're very artistic heavy. So I'd go and train with the like the elite girls. So I'd be training with like at the time it was like Lexi Zeiss and Elle Mueller and um, Grace McCallum for a little bit. So that was really fun to like get two different worlds. But yeah, I would like go to TCT, I'd do my floor routine, and then I'd run back to the Minnesota gym to like be with the team and like do conditioning. So that was really hectic, but like that was like so much fun for me because I love training with the artistic women's team as well because I feel like it gives me such a different perspective. And women's gymnastics, like in the US, is so dominant. So I was like, okay, there's a reason they're so dominant. And especially like my team, like is great. There's so many national team members. So like I was picking up on a lot of like things that they did, like how they land and stuff like that. So I kind of like got all these like different shared experiences to like create this unique one for me. So yeah.
What else did you take from training with the women? Because you said that you did that earlier, right, in
Mhm.
your career too, when you wanted to
Yeah.
transition, but they didn't have TNT. Did
Mhm.
you like what else about? I'm interested in what you thought about like the number of routines or like the
Mhm.
stamina or the conditioning for floor because it's so different at TNT. What else did you take besides landings?
Yeah. So I get the way they train is very um they're tough. I would say the number one thing I took was like, okay, if there's these little like 7-year-old girls like coming in here 30 hours a week, like I can do it too. Like this is insane. Um, but they just are like kind of unfazed. they like almost take everything with a grain of salt, like good day, bad day. And the way they go about routines, I think, is really smart. Um, like they'll have days where they do like just dance throughs, and then they'll do their passes like in almost like a series without the dance, and then like full routine days, like they'll break up the routines. And I feel like for me that helped a lot. Like I don't have dance throughs, but I can do like my version of a dance through is like instead of a double A, I'll do a double A, or like I'll like break down the routine. They have such an emphasis on form. I feel like form and women's artistic then, or at least at my gym, because it was like also heavily JO, and I think in JO they care a lot more about form than they do in our elite right now, because they're such like a college heavy team that they like are like preparing all these girls to go straight to like college and get a 10-0. So I think like focusing on the little things, like taking certain days to like just work on like my back handspring for like 30 minutes, like things like that. So yeah, finessing landings. I think finessing women's gymnastics gymnasts are like so good at finessing a landing, like chest down, like they can turn it to 1/10 landing. So, because I think in men's like it's like go for the stick, and if you don't stick it, you like are gonna fall on your face. Where in women's, it's like they don't really ever go for a stick. So like if they stick it, great, but if they don't, it's like 1/10. So I think that's one thing, like the biggest thing I took too.
Club Gym Nerd, you get discounts and first dibs on live show tickets, an extra whole podcast every week, athlete dossiers for major competitions, code guides, options to commission your own segments. It also makes a great gift. Check it out at gymcastic.com at the Join the Club tab.
Okay, my other question about Minnesota, because you're going back and forth for club and the training closet, which amazingly you did triple doubles in. And they've had so many national champions, even with that gym. So it just goes to show like amazing things are possible, even if you don't have a gymnastics palace. But Minnesota was long known as like the gayest, gay friendly team. Did you find it to
Yeah.
be friendly in that way?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely like I didn't go there and was like, oh my god, like this whole team is gay. Like it's changed because it was like Gym Act, so there was like this huge new class of like 15 people, so it was like a whole different culture. But there was never like a moment that I was like, oh, this is not good. And I think like the best thing for me there was like I met my two best friends who are also gay, Ben and Jude, and we kind of became like this like, I don't know, like inseparable trio. And we kind of like took over the team with our like fruitiness, I guess you could say, and like changed them. And like we went like, I don't know, I feel like it was so much fun. I never had a moment where I was like, I feel uncomfortable. And Mike is like amazing. He's like so accepting of everything, and they let us have fun. They let me like, I didn't really do anything like in my floor routine last year that was like very like, I guess you'd say like feminine or anything like that. But like he was always down for it. He was always being like, oh, why don't you like add this in? And I'd be like, okay. And I never did it, but it was like a great environment.
That's
for
awesome.
me.
Do you know Raymond White? Do you know who that is?
White. It sounds familiar.
He was an Oklahoma gymnast, and he basically did and he basically did a women's floor routine, but in college men's gymnastics, and they
Oh,
won.
really?
His floor routine
Really?
counted. He did beautiful jumps. He saluted as if he was, Suni Lee. And yeah, and I mean his routine was used and counted, and he was amazing. And so whenever I see there aren't a lot of men that have done that and just embraced
Yeah.
that in their floor routines. And so you should definitely look him up, because we also have an interview with him.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I've actually thought about that. I'm like, okay, realistically, could I put together a floor routine that still scores well, but like just for fun of it, like I add in like leaps, music, dance, but like still have good passes that scores well. So I've been brainstorming like 4 pass routines that I could do like within the men's time frame, and like doing all this stuff. So like one meet, I want to do it. We have like, I've talked to Shao here, the head coach, and we have like at home meets next year, we kind of just want to like mess around with some things. Like he wants me to like add a wolf turn, like for the fun of it. Like there's next year, I really want to like play around. This year for me, I was like kind of just like thrown in. So I was like, okay, I'm not gonna like go too crazy adding in like leaps yet. Like I just need to like get through one NCAA season before I like do that. But next year I want to try some fun things. I definitely want to have wolf turn. I want to try that. But yeah.
Oh my god. Okay, so watch. Have you watched any of the old Cuban men's floor routines from the 80s?
I think so.
Like
I
he's
must have. Must have.
yes, they're like super hot and amazing, and they do all this incredible artistic like
Yeah.
military esque, and then like also the Chinese men from the 84 Olympics, their floor routines, for inspiration on how to do like something that
Yeah.
is totally men's artistic gymnastics, but it has flair and dance and artistry, and it's
Yeah.
not like
Yeah.
so boring and stiff.
Mhm.
And then yeah, Raymond White, totally, he's
Yeah.
like the one that like absolutely did it. And yeah, oh my god, I'm so excited because also like Raymond couldn't make any money off of his routines and like being so like the gym
Yeah.
credit loved
Yeah.
him, you know. And like you
Yeah.
are in the era that you can, so you can
I
like
know. Yeah.
get it. Like Chow's totally
You can.
right.
Yeah. I feel like if a time to like make a splash or like try to change the sport or just do something different is now because it's so easy to get so many eyes on you in like a good way, like spread word, and like build a community really quick. And I feel like there is such a large community right now because I went to NAIGC Nationals
Yeah.
last year for GymAct
Yeah.
to compete, and like that was like the most fun experience I've ever had. There's like hundreds of men's gymnasts like doing women's gymnastics routines, and I feel like that is like such a great environment. So there's already this massive community. I think it's just right now hard to get it into high level like elite status. So I've always wanted to have like a stick it way moment at like a US champs where I like walk onto the floor and they're all like, oh, what is he doing? And then it's like the music starts and they're like, wait, what? Like he's doing a floor routine. Like that I've always wanted to like just like do that, like work with like the people behind the meet and be like, okay, I'm gonna do a floor routine with music, but like don't tell anyone.
Now I'm just going to tell you all my ideas, and then we're going to get right back to a recruiting story. Okay, so
Yeah.
number one, you should totally do a backspin because
Mm,
that is something, and you can do like look at who has them, like Lily on beam, or Casey Jo McGee,
yes.
I think did it on floor too. So you
I
do it that.
think are you talking about like I think Brooklyn Morris did it for a while too, right?
Did she
Is
have
it
a
the right
backspin?
thing?
She might have. I mean, everything she did was perfect. So
Yeah.
I yeah, but yeah, the
Yeah.
backspin is like an easy one you can
Mhm.
fit in.
Mhm.
Always a stag jump or a double stag. Um,
Yes.
yeah, and then
Yeah.
also Justin Spring used to do a tong fei, so
Oh, really?
full
Oh, I
twisting
didn't know that.
butterfly. Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Which I've
Yeah, I've
always
been
told him pass it on to one of the women because it's so cool. You haven't passed it on to
yeah.
anyone.
No, I've actually been working on the full twisting butterfly for a while. It's like strangely hard because I'm like too technical.
You got my rare sound effect. Great. I'm very excited about this.
No, it's like I want to learn it so bad because it's like it's actually a 1/10 upgrade if I do it. But I'm like so technical that like flipping sideways is so hard for me. Like I just want to do an aerial with a full twist, like doing it sideways, but I'll get it soon because I like have the awareness to do it. It's just like a weird skill. But no, I've been like brainstorming little things. And when they added the scale last year, I was like, oh my God, this is it. Like they're gonna add in like balance skills. Like they're actually doing it. And I thought it was gonna be like because it was like balance skill requirement. I was like, oh, like turns, they're gonna accept turns because that's a balance skill, and then they didn't. But I feel like them adding in the scale FIG like might make them open to like different interpretations of it. Because I was like playing this year with like little things. I would do like full turn up and do a scale, and I was like, okay, what if that's like a B non-acro? Like it's something named after me. I don't know, but little
Yeah.
things like that. Yeah. Yeah.
I bet Justin would be happy to pass on points about it because he
Oh no, I'd love to.
definitely, yeah, you should totally ask him about it because he is a big, me and him are always talking about that skill.
Mhm.
But also, it was the other thing I was going to tell you. There is that dancer move where it's kind of an aerial, but it's a full twist, but you have to have a really flexible back.
Oh, I know what you're
Do you
talking
know what I
about.
mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you talking about? yeah, I don't know if I could do that one.
I know. I am like, no, that's for people who have a spaghetti
Yeah.
for a spine, and I don't. I
Oh yeah,
used to
yeah.
when I was like
No,
10, not anymore.
I have like chronic back issues from jumping on a trampoline my entire childhood, so I have to be careful with that stuff. So
I
yeah.
understand. Okay, so the other thing of talking about
Mm,
floor and using music, so there's no rule
mhm,
against it, so you can totally do
mhm.
it. And
Yeah,
the genius thing that happened at trials, I talked about this on the show, but I don't think people realize it was happening at Olympic trials. Did you go to Olympic trials?
I did. I was
Okay,
there. Yeah, in
it was
person.
in Minnesota. Yeah. So did
Mhm.
you notice that the DJ was mixing Donnell Wittensberg floor routine?
No, I didn't. Honestly,
He
no, I
was
didn't.
live mixing, and I
Like when he
asked him.
started.
Yeah, when he
Oh,
started
really?
mixing for each pass and each skill. So when he was in the air, he mixed it. When he landed, he
Oh, no
changed the mix.
way.
Yeah, and I asked him afterwards because I was like, "This is happening. I'm not imagining
Yeah,
this." So I talked to the DJ,
yeah,
and he was like, "Yes," and he was like, I hope I don't get in trouble for that." And I was like, "That was the
yeah.
best thing that's ever happened." So another
Oh, no
idea.
way. Yeah, because I feel like in my head, like I just want to do like full floor routine, like full out. But I was like, if I like realistically, if we want it to be more accepting in men's, like I don't think men are gonna jump straight into like doing like a body roll into like the corner. But like I feel like I could see men accepting like music just like playing during their floor routine, like starting. And then like maybe they'd spice up connections. And we actually talked about this at Michigan doing it for next year because the women's team here does something similar on beam where each of them when they compete at home meets have a beam song that like plays when they salute. And I was like, oh, we could easily do that at home meet. Each of us have our own like meet song. And like that would be a great way to like start it. So I would love to like remix like a fun floor routine that's like exactly a minute and like I could like time it to like when I land, when I corner transition, like calm down in my split or something. Like oh that would fuel me like so well. Like having like something I've always like wanted like to hear like the beep, like beep. So I'm like, oh, okay, I actually have to go. I don't have to go on my own terms here. But
Oh, you should totally
yeah.
mix the beat in. Okay, totally sidetracked. Let's get back to your
Hmm.
recruiting story. So you're at
Yeah.
Minnesota. It's going well. You're back to
Hmm.
tumbling.
Hmm.
And then so this is when they had Gym Act, but the team was cut, right? By this time.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so the team was cut. We had no funding from the school at all. The only thing is, thank God, we still had the gym. Like that was like the only saving grace is we still had the gym. And honestly, we functioned, I would say, the exact same as the D1 team still, because we would practice the same. Like Mike would coach us the same. Um, we would have like instead of like we would have lift, but it would be um like kind of on our own because we couldn't like use the athletic stuff, but it was the same like concept. We would have practice in the gym. It was the same way. So I feel like we were doing really good with what we had, and we were all progressing well. I mean, obviously the skill level was different because it was Gym Act and not all D1 gymnasts, but we were. I would say we were going up in the ranks, and by the end of the season, like we were scoring close enough to be competitive with some D1 teams. Um, so that was great all until May. And then we were told by the school, it was actually horrible. It was really horrible. We got told in the morning that we were going to be able to have access to all the remaining funds from men's gymnastics while we were there. And we were like, oh, this is amazing. Because we weren't allowed to represent the school. We had to say Minnesota. We couldn't say University of Minnesota. And then we were told in the morning, like, we could now wear the U of M logo and say we are University of Minnesota. And then that means we had access to whatever remaining funds they had, which was like $1 million. So we were like, oh my God, like we're gonna build a new gym, like we're gonna become D1 again eventually. Like this is great. And then like literally, I'm not kidding, like 4 hours later, we get an email saying you guys have to leave the gym in the next 3 months. And we're tearing it down. And we're like, wait, what? They're like, so here's you're now a gym again, or you're now representing us again, but also you can't be seen on the campus anymore. Like you have to get off. And we were like, what is going on? Um,
Did
it
you
was
get an
so
answer? Was it
strange.
insurance or something?
They, we fought really hard. We met with the president, we met with, um, the vice president. We were like trying to save the gym because we're like, the building that the gym is in is literally named after the men's gymnastics coach like that started it. And we're like, you're gonna take away like this building. We're like, what are you gonna use it for? And they're like, oh, we're giving it to divers. They were giving it to the eight divers that are on the U of M team to use for dry land. So we're like, okay, let us like negotiate with the divers. Be like, okay, this is all we have. Where are we supposed to go? We talk to the divers, and they're like, the coach is like, oh, we didn't know this was happening. So they fully, they're honestly, I don't really know the detail, but the U of M has always had some hatred towards the men's gymnastics team that I'm not like fully aware of, and I don't think anyone fully is. Like when they got cut, it was for funding, but they fully could have kept them.
With $1 million
Whole
fund.
yeah. So, essentially, like they were like, "We're kicking you out. We're not going to tell you why. The real reason why, you just have to get out." In my mind, I was like, "Okay, that's fine. Like, I'm already training at my club gym. Like, we'll do that." And we're like, we have access to this $1 million. Like, we'll just build a new gym. Like, it's not that big of a deal. And then we come to find out, like, we have access to $1 million, but we only can use it for certain things on like a certain list, and everything has to be approved. So we like couldn't even use it to build a new gym. Like it was like this whole scheme to like get us out, essentially. Like because we were kind of making the school look bad. We did like a whole bunch of like news interviews. It was like this whole thing.
Or you're
So
fighting
anyways,
for
yeah, we were fighting like as
your right,
much
and
as we
that's
could.
how it
We were
works.
like on Fox, and I think they saw us doing that, and we're just like, nope, we don't want to deal with that. And because there was a whole like when the team got kicked out in 2021, they also did the same thing, and like that is what ended up like pushing them fully out of the school. Um, so anyways, we moved out of the gym in like May, yeah. And during May, I got surgery again on my calves. That's a whole different thing.
Oh, did you have whatchamacallit syndrome?
I have
Uh,
compartment syndrome.
compartment syndrome. Oh,
Yeah.
that's
So
awful. Compartment syndrome's gnarly.
yeah. So that is like, I never really talked about that on like social media or anything, but like I dealt with that all season last year, and that was like the worst like pain I could ever describe. And training was very hard with that. Like I could train every like 2 days, because they would literally swell up to the point where like I could not walk
My
like in
God.
between. It was horrible, and I went through the whole season with it and like managed it well. Like before a meet, I would have to sit and not walk for like 3 days. I had to be like, okay, like I can't use these legs for 3 days if I want to do like anything at the meet.
Can you explain generally
Yeah.
what that is?
So essentially, it's a faulty in my body's mechanism of controlling my muscles swelling. So like when I do any physical activity, my calf muscles will start expanding to the point where the fascia surrounding it can no longer hold it, and it just squeezes it and squeezes it, and I lose like all circulation. I get like nerve damage. I can't feel anything, and then the pain is just like insane because it's pushing like on all of my nerves. There was like practices like where I would like throw up, and it was like this whole
It's so
um,
dangerous for your nerves, and
it,
it's like
it's
very
very
common.
dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the honestly the main reason I got the surgery was because I was like risking very permanent damage in my calves, where like I wouldn't say like paralysis, but like permanent loss of feeling like
Mhm.
forever. So I was like, okay, I should get this because I had to get you have to get pressure readings essentially to know if you have it, where they stick like essentially a tire gauge in your calf and are like, in mine were like off the charts. It was insane. Like he'd never seen higher numbers, and that was like not even doing any physical exercise. I was just resting. So I was like, okay, I have to get the surgery. So I got the surgery. Um, so I was like recovering for like 3 months. It was about a year ago from like right now, and then we started resuming training, and then that's when we were jumping from gym to gym to gym. There was like 4 different gyms within Minnesota that we were driving to because we didn't have the gym on campus anymore. So we were going between my home gym, Twin City Twisters. We go to this other pretty big gym in Minnesota, Mini Hops Gymnastics, and then there was like 2 others that we would go to. Um, and that just got like incredibly, incredibly exhausting quick because all of them were like 45-minute drives. And with the amount we trained, like I would leave in the morning at like 7 a.m. for school, and I would like come back from gym at like 10 p.m. That's when I was like, okay, maybe I should think about transferring. So yeah, that's why I got to that point.
And then how was the process of, did you reach out to Michigan? Did they reach out to you?
Mhm. So it wasn't a thought in my mind of transferring until July. And at Olympic trials, the whole Michigan team was there, and I heard from like a little birdie, like, if you have ever thought about transferring, like, you should reach out or put your name in the portal. And I was like, whatever, like, this is working. Like, I'm not like, after my experience trying to go D1 at Oklahoma, I was like, I'm never going D1 again. Like, I love Minnesota. Like, this is great for me. I was like, okay, like, whatever, cool.
Did you even have to go in the portal? Because you didn't even have a team. Like, you weren't
Yeah.
even a D1 athlete anymore.
So that's what I thought. So I went like a month and was training and was like, why not? Like, who knows? Like, this training situation is like not working well at Minnesota. I love Minnesota, but I was like, if I want to get better, this is gonna be really hard. And that was a very hard decision for me to like make. So I was like, I'm gonna regret if I don't even try to like see. And if I reach out and they're like, all we have is a walk on spot, or all we have is like a spot, no scholarship, like whatever. Like, okay, I tried. So I put my name in the portal, and I was like not ready for that. I put my name in the portal, and it was like not even 24 hours, like different schools reaching out, like offering to
They're no
fly me
dummies.
literally the next day. Like, I got the next day, one of the schools like, hey, is it crazy if we ask you to get on a flight like in 24 hours? And I was like, what? Like, I was not ready, and it took me like by complete surprise. I was like, I didn't know anyone like actually like was watching me, like cared about me. Whole like transfer thing for me emotionally was like the probably the hardest thing I've ever had to go through, because I vowed to myself like I would never leave again, because I had like been through so much, like going from Oklahoma to Minnesota, that I was like, I love it here, like I don't want to like leave this great like community. But then part of me, like this intuitive feeling that I had like so much more, and I had like great potential in NCAA, and that's what everyone was telling me. So I was like, I have to try, and if it doesn't work, like I have Minnesota, like I have a great community here. So it was just like emotional turmoil going through that, because I didn't want to tell my team for a while too at Minnesota and be like, hey, I'm gonna leave. So I didn't tell them that I was gonna leave until I like knew I was gonna leave. Originally, I actually signed to go here next year. I wasn't even supposed to be here this season. And because I love the Minnesota team so much that I was like, I want to have one more season. Like, I didn't want to like lose one more year, and I also thought I had one more year of eligibility. And then there was the eligibility thing was like a whole different thing. And then I found out I had one less year than I thought. So um they like on a whim like offered me to come this season. Like, they made room, and I told them no. Actually, I was like, this is too crazy, like, because this was in November, end of November. I was like, this is crazy, like I'm not coming in a month, like I have a lease here, like I can't pick up. Like, I was so overwhelmed, and then I like thought about it and was like, ah, fuck it, like whatever, I'll do it. Craziest year of my life, but like best decision ever. And I like left my Minnesota team, which was like very sad, but I'm still like insanely close with them, and they're so happy for me. And I go home, visit them. It feels like I didn't leave them at all. To me, it feels like I just like gained more team here, and like coming here, like I didn't realize how much it could get better. Gymnastics.
Yay.
It just like the environment here, the support system here, the people here. Like, I didn't think it could get better, and then it just like did. And um, yeah, crazy year. Crazy year. But
What
yeah.
are the things about Michigan that are better than you could have imagined
Mm.
it would be for you?
For me, it's just like the openness to like everyone. It's not a one size fits all team in any way. And I think that is like the biggest strength here, is that it's not like you come to Michigan to become the Michigan team. Like, you come to Michigan to add to the team. and they work with you like on a very individual level and like figure out like how you train, like what works best with you, and like how to build you strong. Where I feel like a lot of teams, it's like you come here, here's your warm up, here's your assignment, everyone's doing that, and we're gonna build an army of the same people. And I think our biggest strength is that we're all different and we all have different strengths and weaknesses, and we like work with that.
Also known as diversity.
Yes, no, diversity. I know. When we won, I was like, it feels like we're just like a whole bunch of like just like random kids that won, but I feel like that was like the best thing ever because it's not like we're all like copy paste, and that's what I love. That's like the first thing I noticed here is like everyone is very much themselves, and there's a very strong culture, but the culture is not like grounded in like one specific thing. It's diversity. Like I don't really know how else to describe it other than like it's a very diverse team, very accepting team. They let me do whatever I want, and it's amazing. I remember when I first came here, I would do like a little like beam series on the floor, and everyone would be like, "Oh, that's so cute." And like now, I'll like fully like have a days of practice where like I just do beam series like the whole time, and nobody bats an eye. I'll do like aerial lay, and they'll be like, "Oh, nice one," and it's like, it's so fun. It's so fun for
Awesome.
me.
How was it like culturally coming to Michigan, and like are they open? Like I know some schools have talked about like on
Hmm.
recruiting trips, like they will take recruits to like this is our like our LGBTQ center, and this is
Hmm.
how was all that?
The team was like very open. I didn't feel like I had to like hide or anything, and it's surprising because I mean, on the team, it's not like there's like a whole bunch of people out and open. Like I kind of was like the only one, but there was no feeling of being like singled out at all. Um, and the coaches, like for me, they like the fact that nobody brought it up was like the best part, or even like talked about anything like LGBTQ related. I was like, okay, like I'm just a person here, like a normal person. Like I'm not like, oh, there's like Charlie, the gay gymnast. Like, it was like there's Charlie, and like he happens to be a gay gymnast. Um, so for me, it was just like very refreshing to feel like a normal person, like just living life. And then Michigan is also a great campus, like by itself. For that, it's a very liberal campus. They have plenty of resources, communities, groups. So like just being like minus gymnastics team, Michigan is great for that. In the city as well, Ann Arbor is very liberal. So yeah.
So good to hear. It just makes me so happy because like we did the first gay panel ever in
Hmm.
gymnastics on this show, and that was only I don't know,
Hmm.
8 8 years ago, 10 years ago or something. We had to
Yeah.
change someone's voice, and now it's like there's so many people out on the women's side too, which is yeah,
Hmm.
it's just like,
Yeah.
it's great.
Yeah. No, there's like this the gay the gay clique within NCAA, and like it is so fun to be part of. Like we meet up at all the meets, and it's like we try to be pretty serious when we get there, where we're like, okay, like really, stay with the team. Like this is the team's day. Like after the meet, we can like mingle with the other teams, but it's like they know that like the gays like can't stay away from each other. So like immediately, like at NCAA meets, I'll be like running up to them, and like it's so fun. Like we have these like little clique, and like it's like this like small community like within men's gymnastics. That's like it's so fun.
That's
We take
awesome.
our we take a girls photo, and yeah.
Do you know much about the mixed pairs system meet that's coming to the Olympics and they just did at Euros? Like, how do you think this will affect like men's gymnastics, or what do you think of it in general?
I feel like it's the first step in towards the world trying to actually push for men's gymnastics. Um, because they know that women's gymnastics is very like dominant in like the media, and I feel like FIG is so reluctant to like actually changing the code of points. So for them to like change a format is like something. Um, but I hope that like I hope it translates into like um, NCAA, or translates into like men being able to do women's events or something like that. So I think it's like a really good first step into more like inclusivity a little bit, into like actually making men's gymnastics a little bit more like large, I guess.
You said that you knew that you always wanted to keep going in elite after college. So do you
Mhm.
want to do like do you mean artistic or TNT or both?
As of now, I don't plan to go back to TNT. I told myself like if TNT gets put back in the Olympics, I said I would maybe try it. But since for me, I switched to artistic mainly because I wanted to. I did want to do it past college, but I actually wanted to do it. Like I really like floor. Um, so my goal was to do elite in artistic and see how far I can go. Like I went to like worlds in tumbling, so I was like, okay, I gotta do it artistic. Um, so I'm pushing elite as hard as I can, and I've been pushing elite, and I'm gonna push it at least through 2028 as far as I can. The goal for me is like see how close I can make it to LA. I mean, if I can make it, like that would be amazing. I'll try my best. But just see how far I can go. Because I didn't realize how big of a goal it was until I got here, and then once I accomplished it, I mean, it happened so quick. Now I'm like, okay, now I have to do my stuff too. So my goal has always been elite though. On top of NCAA, so we'll see how far.
What
So
events do you plan to do in elite?
I plan to do floor and vault. I'm going to the qualifier for US champs on Thursday next week. Um, so right now floors, I mean, my main event, I do vault, and I'm working harder vaults the second vault. For me, just vault is way harder because I've only done it for like 3 years. Um, but mainly floor is like the biggest thing, but still training vault all the time.
It is an individual worlds this year.
I
So
know that. Yeah, that's the thing. We're trying. I'm trying my best to make the champs, and if there's a year for me to like make a splash, it would be this year. Hopefully, we'll make champs, and then hopefully do well at champs. And I think this year, especially this code of points, is like really good for me with how they upgraded all of the layout skills, and form is like. I think right now, at least, usually this is how it is. The year after the Olympics, form is like the number one decider between like scores, and the difficulty like builds throughout the quad, and that's good for me because right now I'm not doing my most difficult routines, but I'm scoring really well because I'm having really high execution. So I'm hoping that can translate well, and I've been scoring well enough to do well on international stage, so hopefully I can.
have you talked to any of the national team staff or Brett or anybody about like what you'd need to do or where they see you're fitting in or any of that kind of stuff?
Not directly, but like through word of mouth. um it's hard for them to say like what kind of specialist they want right now, but um with like the new format of the next Olympics, I think they're going to be looking for specialists of multiple events, which is good for me because I do 2 events. So hopefully can get that ball good, but yeah, so just through like word of mouth. I haven't talked to them anyone like directly, but yeah.
But Xiao has a great record of getting people
Oh
on
yeah.
teams. So
Oh yeah,
yeah,
no, if there's a place to be to get insider information, it would definitely be here. So
yeah. One of our listeners wrote in and said, "Here are a couple questions I have for Charlie." This is from Logan. Um,
okay.
You've undergone a number of transitions through your gymnastics career, TNT to artistic Minnesota. They know your whole history. Logan knows everything about you. How do
Well,
you think your wealth of experience has shaped you as an athlete today?
I think my whole life I thought that I was like never finding a home, and I was like kind of bouncing between gyms. And then I think this year, like after NCAA's, I had like all these people reaching out. And it was insane. And I think I had this revelation where I was like, okay, I was never like homeless. I was just like gaining different experiences in different families and building this like massive community around me. And now I have like 5 different gyms that I can call my home, and like all these like different insights from different coaches and like different experiences, and like I got such a unique like vision, and I went to like 3 different colleges, like I got to be part of all these different communities. So I think I took what I thought was like such a huge weakness in me and used it as like a strength.
The next question from Logan is, when is the next Powerpuff Girls episode?
Oh my gosh.
Please
We
explain.
are always playing. Okay, so my two best friends in the world are Ben and Jude, and they're from the Minnesota team. Jude was on the Minnesota team and became the manager. Ben is currently there. And we are just like this inseparable clique. Last year, for Halloween, we're like, we need to do like a 3-person like costume. And we were like looking up and we were like, oh, let's just do Powerpuff Girls. So we bought like these wigs and these matching tanks. And we started making these videos and they kind of like blew up on the internet and we got like this huge fan base and like we would go to meets and everyone's like, oh my god, like the Powerpuff Girls, and we are like, oh, this is weird. So we started making these episodes and then we like kind of developed them into this series where we tried to make it reality TV, and it was like funny. We were like filming behind the scenes like confessionals and stuff. So we're always planning. We actually have our next shoot planned in July. New episodes coming soon.
I asked people to make a gymnastics wish on this show or sometimes in the mix zone, and many of them have come true. Like Olivia Dunn said she wanted to make enough money that she could buy a house in Malibu. That's happened. And then Reese McClanagan said he wanted to be a world champion. That happened. Then he said his wish was Olympic champion. That happened. So what is your gymnastics wish?
Okay. My gymnastics wish, I would say, is to medal individually on floor at a world championships. That's my gymnastics wish. And sponsored by Aquaphor.
Aquaphor. Okay.
Aquaphor. This is something very niche I do. At every single meet, I have this little like tube of Aquaphor. It's always on me. And if you look at me closely at meets or on cameras, I bring it on to the floor, and right before I salute, I like throw it off. So like that's my main thing. That's my like that's my vice at meets is Aquaphor. I'm like constantly putting on Aquaphor. So and in back of my head, I knew like at NCAA is like, okay, this is my ESPN, so like I have to like have this Aquaphor on me, so like Aquaphor could like see and be like, oh, we need to sponsor him. Like he needs Aquaphor. It didn't work, but yeah, can get a skill named after me. That is one thing too. I really want to get a skill named after me. There's like not many left, and if I'm gonna do anything on floor, it's either gonna be really, really, really hard or really, really, really stupid. There's gonna be no in between.
Thank you so much for spending so much time today and talking.
Yeah, thank you.
I can't wait to see you at nationals because I'm sure you're going to make championships. And
yeah, thank you. Yeah, this was fun. Yeah, I'm so happy I could be on here.
Thanks so much to Charlie for being here this week. It was so great to talk to him, and you might even see him at the live show if you're coming. Remember to get your tickets at gymcastic.com, your live streaming ticket or your in-person ticket. You can interact, ask questions on the live stream if you're not there in person. If you're there in person, there's premium tickets. You get a special gift. You get the VIP ticket. You get a meet and greet with a poster with our special guest, Helen Hu, hometown girl. And there's no behind the scenes this week. Just remember, because of the holiday, but you have years of behind the scenes to listen to if you would like to go back and listen to them. So thanks again to Charlie. Remember to get your live show tickets and enjoy the holiday. Until next week, remember to take off and gay, split on rights, and thanks for listening.